Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if we could remain standing as we do and remember our servicemen, and especially today, let's remember those that Marines, I think it was, that died in the airplane crash, and a lot of them were at Stewart. And also, for a lot of us, we can remember our purchasing clerk, Sue Bunty, who retired not long ago and passed away. Thank you. So, public comment on agenda items. Yes. Yes. Excuse me, stand over here in the spot with the camera and state your name and your address.
Gopi for Montgomery. I see on here that Homeland Towers is going to be giving a presentation. I know that the board might be interested in information that Deborah Coppold has regarding that, because they just did it before the town, and Deborah compiled a lot of questions, answers, information.
Appreciate your comments. Is there any other questions on agenda items? Okay, next on the agenda is Homeland Towers. Take a few minutes and introduce yourself over here. And
So how are you? My name is Vincent Xavier. I'm the regional manager for Homeland Towers and mayor and members of the board. Some of you are familiar with me. I've been trying for about 10 years now to try to find a solution to enhance the coverage in this area. For a while, we were pursuing multiple properties, the most recent one being a potential village property in Havens Road. Prior to tonight, I circulated an email that had what I'm going to hand out now, but this is just it's a preliminary design indicating how we would potentially fit a tower at the village property, the DPW at 26 Havens Road. So preliminarily, I've had this reviewed by RF engineers for the FCC licensed carriers in the industry, and it does appear to meet their needs in order to cover this part of the area. We're hoping to find a site that would have the least aesthetic impact and minimize proliferation, which is the number of towers needed to cover this area. As I said, I've been working this for 10 years. As may have just been said before I stood up here, we did have an application, and we still do have an application before the town for another site to cover for Montgomery and the town portion south of the village. I don't know if, at this point, basically, we're seeking to submit this to you to get your sense whether or not you think this is a viable option, whether or not this will, not only meet the needs of your community, but also make it so that it does not overly impact the DPW facility itself, so you can still use the vehicles.
That was my number one question,
Yeah.
because several months ago, we went down there, and it struck me that it would create real hardship for the DPW, and also access for fire trucks to refuel would be very difficult if this was built on the site. Have you discussed it with Gary Boyce since then?
The DPW commissioner,
Yeah.
right? Not since I've submitted, but no, the original design actually called for using both sides of the DPW facility. Obviously that was unacceptable, it was taking up too much space, so we relooked at it, and we tried to come up with a design here that, there's obviously a lot going on down there, we need to stay away from the underground drainage system, as well as maintain access to the existing oil tanks that are there for filling. This does meet those two concerns, and it also makes it so we don't need to use both sides of the building. So you still have all the square footage on the other side there. I'm not sure exactly where the fire truck refueling station is. Is it on this lot or across the street?
It would be down in this area,
This is the existing building,
yeah.
so that they actually fuel out of the building?
No, I think the tank is
It's outside.
outside,
Well, we wouldn't be impacting that area.
but the maneuverability, and then also the parking of vehicles for the DPW that would ordinarily be in this area, and
Mhm.
I think this is where the fire truck maneuvers to get back out.
Well, there is still a lot of room to the north side of the site, and the other side of the drainage, to be able to get a truck in there to turn around. As you know, if you're ever going down Havens Road, it is pretty tight anyway, so no space is limited. We've done our best to come up with a small footprint as we possibly can. This included having to go into the hill a little bit with retaining walls that will likely be needed. Obviously, that's not ideal from a construction standpoint, but in order to minimize the impact to that lot, that's what we're willing to do. And that's really the smallest we'd be able to get it.
So you would be able to push it back in.
Well, this right now takes into account pushing it into the slope.
Listen, I'm going to be maybe a little bit more to the point. There's no room down there. Okay, let's say it, Charlie. There's no room down there.
Okay.
There's no room down there right now for the highway department.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, there's no room down there.
Honestly, the less time I spend.
Yeah, don't spend any more
wasting
time on putting it down there.
Okay, well,
Sorry.
no, it is what it is, and I appreciate it, like, it's better than me keep trying to.
Well, that's
push
what
it.
I
You tell me
say.
no,
I'm not,
it is
there's
what it
other
is.
people. That's what I said.
No hard feelings. Tell me I'm wasting my time with the design.
I think, I
yeah.
agree on this.
Charlie will be a
It's
little
problematic. Yeah, I was trying to be diplomatic.
No,
And I didn't know how far back into the hill you were putting it. But I would not want to drive a fire truck down.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, we park our police cars down there. It's multi-use.
Yeah.
You have streets, very large street sweeper. Trucks are getting bigger, not smaller now,
Yeah.
We can't fit some of our vehicles in the garage now because the garage was built probably back in the 50s.
Well, what I said this then is a potential option, right now you have an unused access road that's going down towards the river. Would there be any benefit to the community if we were to maybe extend the roadway a little bit, give you some extra paving so
Well,
it doesn't.
that road becomes private,
At a certain point, yeah.
yeah, not far from, not far from where it kind of ends. That's not our road.
Well, to that end, really, that I'm just before you kind of had in hand saying, we all know that there has to be a solution to this coverage here. I told you the anecdote from when I was in Shade's restaurant. Like right now, my wife is picking up my kids from daycare, and I was waiting for a text to see if they got her. And I can't get a text in here, so I don't know where my children are right now. So we need to fix this one way or another. And before we start pursuing private properties, I would just say, if there's anywhere else you think would be better, if there's any village property you'd like to have me look at and see what's available, I'm open to any options because one way or another, the carriers are gonna find a solution here. And like I said, I've been working at this for years with the town and the village, and we were proposing some on town property. Do you have any suggestions for me? I would.
Have you looked at property near the water tanks?
We have. The problem with that is that the water tanks, as you know, the road comes into the water tanks, you get into another valley. And the water tanks themselves are set back such that any site at the water tanks are gonna be just shooting out of that valley. You get some coverage down into like the entrance to West Point, but you're not gonna be covering the bulk of the village with reliable service, especially along 9. So we did look at that, especially when you guys revised your village code, you kind of had that as a preferred location. So of course, we definitely looked there. It's just because of the terrain, it's terrain blocked, and this technology is all line of sight. So it doesn't work from a coverage perspective.
Where is it you're finding a lack of coverage, or is it just overall?
overall. Right now, if you're getting any coverage in this municipality, maybe you're getting some from something that's at the West Point, there's some towers there, but really they're not getting here, maybe some from the stadium, but most of the coverage you're getting is actually from across the river. There's many problems with that. One, those sites aren't designed to get over here, they don't like bouncing over the water. And two, if you call 911 and you wind up hitting a tower that's in a different county, that means you're getting that county's 911 dispatch. Which means they need to figure out where you are and then relay you back to this county's 911 dispatch. So you're losing time in an emergency situation that's just not acceptable for the carriers, public safety, or anybody. So basically, we're hoping to come up with 2 sites, one in the town, one in the village, that will cover from Bear Mountain to West Point and have the least impact as possible. And that's my goal. And when I started this project, I wasn't married and I had no kids. Now I'm married, I have 2 kids, and I'm still working on this problem.
And they're
so-
going to college.
Almost, he'll be in 1st grade now. So,
It's, you know, we can't make those kinds of, any kind of decisions tonight that
Sure.
you're asking. So.
but I appreciate this dialogue.
We appreciate it too. We're going to have to, get back to you. I hate to say that, but that's how we're gonna have to do on this issue. Again, we can sit here for another hour and discuss sites. I have 5 sites I could tell you about, that other cell towers years ago said were good. But that's not for tonight.
Okay. Well, I'd like to follow this up with an email to you. If you want to send me an email with those sites, I'll relook at them. Are they village sites, private property, or?
They were village sites, but we need to do
Yeah.
some homework before we go any further,
Sure.
okay?
Yeah. I'm willing to have a separate meeting with you in your office
No,
or anyone
no.
else, or just via email.
No separate meetings with me.
Well, I mean, however you want to give me the
Board.
information. And with
Yeah.
the board, I mean, you all, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And the
Okay.
more people, the more dialogue we have, the better, because we all need to get together and just find a solution to this. But it's just an obvious problem at this point that there needs to go.
There
away.
is.
Yeah.
There is. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Okay,
you.
well, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the beautification committee. Suzanne, Cindy, could you come over here, please? Yeah. I'm sorry.
The beautification committee met and we submitted a 2-year master plan to the mayor. The first 5 items were approved, the 6th item, we have to come back and give him a more extensive explanation of what it is we had in mind. Basically, what we want to start with now is a generic cleanup, for lack of a better expression. We were talking about perhaps working with the Rotary about cleaning up that triangle that comes off of 9W. Then we're also talking about getting the dead trees that are in the village down. And then some extensive pruning of the current, some of the trees that are here in the community are really pretty. And they just need a good pruning, because maybe now what looks like it needs work in that area, once the trees are pruned, it will look a lot better, so we'll look at something different. We have also discussed working on the brook area behind the Iranian hostage garden, and doing something with that, perhaps in collaboration with whatever FEMA project might be in the works for fixing that wall behind there. We have also made some tentative plans about fall and Christmas decorations, but our Christmas issue really now has to be to get more electric in the Memorial Park and along the median where the light posts are, because we need to get some electric outlets there. Ed McElroy put his piece, his flower piece, and he put it where the large welcome sign is. So that's now on loan to the village, but at least now it has a permanent home so that it doesn't get moved every time we have an art walk. So that, he just put that up, I think, this week. We have some smaller projects in place already. I know you've heard us about the poop stations. Basically, what we will be submitting to the board is, if you have, for the community, where they go in that median. And also, we were talking about trying to get the merchants to decorate flower boxes, so we were gonna give them flower boxes. And luckily, the village hall has flower vases. So we thought we would try to get that in place for the fall.
Yeah.
You mentioned Rotary. It's perfect timing because Rotary International's big program this year is trees. And we haven't adopted our new budget, but in the budgetary conversations, we've increased our beautification budget in order to hopefully assist with getting some trees planted.
Some of what we wanted to do down at that area though was, there's a dead tree in there and lots of overgrowth.
You're talking about the triangle?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
triangle.
and
Yeah,
that's
and
a
because there's a
priority
beautiful
too.
pine in there, even though I know you were telling me that the sign is going to be refurbished, it's still a really pretty area. It is the gateway to
Right.
coming into the village. So that's a place we're going to start taking down dead trees, and the brook, and maybe looking into some other ways to get some trees replaced.
Charlie, just let me say, I know in years past, wait a minute, Susan, I'm sorry. I know in years past Rotary has been very generous with donating trees. I worked a lot with Farrell
Farrell
Patrick.
Patrick, he's
And-
gung ho again.
Yeah, but what I would ask, and I really hope Rotary does, I'm sure they are now, you said it, but we need to, we need to decide what trees, what kind of trees. I have a whole booklet in here from Orange and Rockland, and they have many, many trees. It's not limited at all. It's dozens and dozens that are good
trees,
for
or
Main
streets.
Street or wires close by or traffic, fumes. So maybe Rotary could assign someone to work with the,
Right, I
Committee
was gonna
on
call
trees.
Charlie, but I could.
however it would work
Charlie.
best.
I guarantee Farrell will be involved.
Yeah, yeah, but before he goes and buys them. He used to show up at my door downstairs and he'd say, "Joe, I got 6 trees out of my trunk." You know, I didn't have a hole dug, I didn't know where to put them.
He's already identified where he can get them on sale, so, you know, we do have to.
Could
coordinate.
Farrell or
Yeah.
maybe reach out to Susan?
Sure.
I'll email
would
you
work.
and we'll set something up, okay?
Thank you so much. And listen, I want to say something to you, Susan and Cindy and Janet Dutt, which is the nucleus of the committee. Again, you worked very hard to beautify our community. Not mine, not yours, ours. You did it for everyone else. That's what you did it for. And it paid off in compliments. And that's the biggest payoff you can get. You know, that's the biggest payoff that someone can receive. Everyone was talking about, and they still are. They still are. They still see the flowers. A lot of times when something's put there after right, it's just part of the landscape. You don't see it anymore. People are still making nice comments about the flowers outside the village hall, up and down Main
The
Street.
community has been
Yeah.
very supportive and vocal, and
Well-
it's a new, it seems like a new spirit to us.
You did a lot of work. Yeah.
One quick item to add. As I think most people know, the official opening of the art walk was this weekend.
Mhm.
And in combination with everything that the beautification folks in the village are doing, I had emailed to the Garrison Command because the end of South Coast, where there is that iconic tree that is really the last survivor from Lady Cliff, that's was covered with vines and sumac trees growing. I did the best I could do and emailed the Garrison Command, and within 48 hours, they wanted to be sure to get it cleaned up before the art walk, and they did. It's never looked better.
Right, we have been in contact with them. We were talking about, we have some volunteers that are down at Wyatt Green, and we had talked to them about perhaps creating a treated lumber bed with some perennials in it, and the volunteers at Wyatt Green offered to take care of it.
Great. So thank you very much. Okay, next, new business. I'm going to do these minutes individually, a little different than in the past. So we had a special meeting on June 15th with the LA group. All of us were present, could I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Howard, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by trustee Livesey, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next, we had a special meeting on June 19, 2017. We went into executive session, we were all there. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Murphy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Ramus, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next, we had another special meeting on the 29th of June. You may remember it was with Elise and with Goldberger, right here. May I have a motion to
Make a
accept the
motion.
minute? Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next, we had a regular meeting on July 3rd, 2017. Merv was absent. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Murphy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And one abstain. Next, we had a meeting on July 10th. It was in reference to the developers agreement. Merv and Jim had other engagements preset for that night and couldn't make it. May I have a motion to accept the minutes as written?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Howard and seconded by
Second.
trustee Murphy. A roll call.
Trustee Howard,
Aye.
trustee Livesey,
Abstain.
trustee Ramus,
Same.
trustee Murphy,
Aye.
Mayor Denofrio.
Aye, thank you, motion carried. Next, we had a special meeting on the 10th of July, interviews for engineers. We had so many meetings, everyone just couldn't make every meeting, so Merv had a previous engagement that he couldn't get out of all. So could I have a motion to accept?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Howard, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Ramus. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain? Aye. 4-1, okay, you got it, Jan?
Yes.
Okay. Almost done. Special meeting on July 12th. I kept you guys busy. July 12th, the LA group. 3 of us were there. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Murphy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Howard. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain?
Abstain.
Motion carries. Special meeting on July 13th. Here in this room, we had it with the One Government Study. Motion to accept minutes.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Howard, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Murphy, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
One abstention.
Point of order, one set of minutes that I think I moved, I actually wrote the minutes for. Is that a problem? Okay.
Next we have on the agenda is some request to use facilities. We have a yard sale for the community that the center wants to hold at the parking lot across the street from Sacred Heart. It's a fundraiser for them.
Gina, I want to recuse myself. I'm president of the board, and since we're going to be making money, it involves monies, I want to recuse myself. I'm not going to vote on this.
Insurance certificate is on the back. Could I have a motion to accept the request?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by trustee Ramus, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have a request to use Rowe Park for the O'Neill varsity and JV and modified baseball from March 1 to June 10th. March 1 to June 10th. That's for the ball field itself. You have that before you. There is, they submit the certificate after this is approved?
Yeah.
That's what the school does, so we can approve it upon completion of the application, i.e. insurance. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Murphy, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Third one is the PBA is gonna have their national night out in lot number 2, again, across from Sacred Heart on Tuesday, August 1 from 5 to 8. You have that information, this has been done before.
Question though, is it the PBA or is it the Village of Highland Falls Police?
Well, if we look at the paperwork, it's the, I believe it's the PBA.
do they provide us with insurance?
They don't, it's not here.
I'm just,
It's a piggyback, it's the PBA that we piggyback with them, because we do provide,
whose insurance covers it? Us or them?
well, if we're involved with it, it would be.
I thought it was a joint effort, but
It is, it's always been.
So they.
But they do the
food-
primary legwork for it, they're doing the advertising, getting all the vendors to the function, and then we work with them the day of, from the police department side of it.
It's hard to hear you
Yeah.
with that.
So the PBA does all the legwork to get the vendors, to get the lot secured, and then we join them on the day of the actual event as the police department, so it's kind of a joint effort.
I'm just concerned about, you know, who carries the burden of the liability. So it sounds like it's us.
yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Us, the village?
Yeah.
So can we need to approve the use of that lot on August 1.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Ramus, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
It is a really good program.
It's great, it is. We have a couple of appointments, if you wish. We have a part-time police officer, Lori Bailey. Comes in at a step 4 under the PBA contract. Maximum probation, 78 weeks. You have her application in front of you. You'll see she has quite a few years in the police work.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Motion by trustee Livesey, second by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
At one point, we had talked about having an opportunity to meet the applicants. These two, I think most of the board members already know, so it's not really an issue,
Yeah.
but going forward.
That, I've taken care of that with the police chief, and that'll happen from now on. Next, I have an appointment of police officer Robert Duffy. Again, step 4, PBA contract, maximum probation 78 weeks. I know that he has a background in police work. You see it there on page 3.
I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, motion by trustee Murphy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, I would like authorization to sign paperwork necessary to submit for the CFA application. It's a $2,500 grant to the village under the Unified Solar Permit. So if I sign this piece of paper, we get $2,500.
Oh, motion.
Sign away.
So now you put, maybe that's how I'll put everything. But it is the truth. Okay, so motion by trustee Murphy, seconded by trustee Livesey, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Along those same lines, there is a workshop tomorrow, it's tomorrow, from 6:30 to 8 p.m. at the Highland Falls Library on solarizing. If anyone's interested in,
I haven't had it too. Give the tickets.
Elise, does that mean we have to look at our, code book, we're gonna start talking about solar and conventional that?
Certainly the board might want to take a look at whether or not it needs to pass a solar law. I don't think that we have one now.
No, we don't.
I don't think that, in my opinion.
Especially the decommissioning of 10, 20 years from now, what's gonna happen with them, so we have something in place to address that issue.
We just drafted a local law for another municipality that looked at personal solar farms in the yard and then industrial solar. And if the board wants to think about that, we should maybe take that up.
I don't think we have a choice. I think we need to protect the village and have those codes in. That's my opinion.
I'm sorry.
Mayor D'Onofrio, excuse me, if I could speak to that. The town just passed unified solar permit. They already did the same thing in this proposal that would be done with this proposal. And I have a copy of it, if the board would like to look at that copy of theirs. And Bruce Terwilliger has already reviewed it, and given his input in it. And
All right, that's not all that, that can't do that right now. I gotta stay with this agenda and then,
So,
but that,
I'd like to ask,
Yeah.
so Elise, what municipality did you do?
Monroe,
Monroe?
Blooming Road.
Oh, Blooming Grove. Okay.
In fact, it's still in public hearing process.
So those documents are online, maybe?
The local law, you should be able to get, but I can certainly send it to you.
Okay.
Is that hooked up
Please.
a wind power too?
It does not,
Does not.
actually.
That's something else we need to look at.
It's up to this board.
Thank you.
all right, next on the agenda is some public hearing on some property maintenance. And again, as I said at the last meeting, some of these are repeaters and now some of them are repeaters. Is there anyone here, owner representing 22 Mountain Avenue, 11 Mountain Avenue, 128 Mountain Avenue, 138 Mearns Avenue, 1610 Route 9W, 19 Eagle Valley Road, 23 Tobin's? Is there anyone here representing those properties? If not, Gina, for the minutes, we'll open up the public hearing at this time. Does there anyone have any comments to make on these properties before we act?
I just have a question. The ones that come up repeatedly, is there a way to sort of fast track them until or unless they're, mitigated? Because it seems like you have to keep bringing up a lot of the same properties regularly.
I-
Do you know what I mean? So that
No,
you're not
I don't.
repeating yourself with the same properties. Is there a way to just sort of until or unless the property is fixed? No, it has to be every.
Each time.
Each time, okay, thank you.
And we are going to raise, I'm sure that we are going to raise the fines and the administrative fees on these because we're not, the best we're doing is breaking even. So that code, as I have brought up before, needs to be looked at and probably increased. There's a tremendous amount of work downstairs that goes to, not just to tonight, but to following it, getting a contractor and continuing to follow it. And if they don't pay, it has to be put on their taxes a year from now. So it doesn't close. The issue doesn't close when the grass gets cut. So I believe that each one is for the same overgrowth, cut overgrowth, cut overgrowth, cut overgrowth, and cut overgrowth within 5 days.
You know what, Mayor,
And one more code.
this isn't it though. I mean, I'm sure everybody in here can say there's much more that's out there. And it's really becoming a problem where these property owners, not just these, I mean, I'm in an area where I just don't get it anymore. I mean, it's a property owner that's just not taking care of their property. And when you're maintaining your property, and you're trying to make the community look nice, and I'm not just gonna say properties, I'm gonna say storefronts too. It's really something that we need to get more with the fines or more with something where it's,
Merv, I think the fines should be looked at, maybe increased. I think the building department could be an issue. I think we need to sit down and see what's going on down there and
something's gotta be done here.
we're kind of at their mercy. and meanwhile, the village is going down as far as appearance in some locations. And I know exactly what you're talking about, where you live. So, that's what needs to be done. So, Elise, how can I do this without reading each one?
Just read
They're exactly
one.
the same?
Just
Okay.
read the violation and then.
Okay. So concerning the violations of property maintenance, the property locations are 22 Mountain Avenue, 11 Mountain Avenue, 128 Mountain Avenue, 138 Mearns Avenue, 1610 Route 9W, 19 Eagle Valley Road, and 23 Tobin's. And whereas a long-standing violation of the Village Property Maintenance Law, Chapter 170 of the Village of Highland Falls Code has existed at these locations. Whereas the property owner or owners have been given due notice of said violations and have been directed to correct the violations. And whereas the property owner or owners were given due notice of a public hearing to be held by the Board of Trustees on July the 17th, 2017 at 7 p.m. to determine whether the violations have been properly remedied and whether to order that corrective action be undertaken by the village to correct said violations at the property owner's cost and expense, to bill said cost and expense to the property owner and to levy same against the property. And whereas the public hearing was held by the Board of Trustees on July 17, 2017 at 7 p.m., and whereas the owner did not appear, and whereas the owner or owners have not taken steps to correct the violations, and the violations still exist, and whereas the Board of Trustees authorizes pursuant to Section 170-6 of the Property Maintenance Law to authorize the village to undertake to remedy such violations at the property owner's cost and expense. Therefore be it resolved that the village, its contractors or agents shall enter upon the property to correct the violations of that, and that all costs incurred by the village, including administrative, legal, and corrective costs, be charged to the property owner, and such charge shall be added to the tax bill of the property owner if not paid within 30 days of notification to the last known address of the property owner as shown on the village tax map. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Howard, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Livesey. May I have roll call?
Trustee Alward,
Aye.
trustee Livesey,
Aye.
trustee Ramus,
Aye.
trustee Murphy,
Aye.
Mayor D'Onofrio.
Aye. Thank you.
Mr.
Motion
Mayor,
carried.
can I just
Mayor,
ask
could
a
you
question
identify
about,
1610?
What's that?
Could you identify?
You gotta get up on that over here.
Can you identify what property is 1610 Route 9W?
That is the Pointer Echo Motel.
Thank you.
Yes, my question was, there must be a tally, a cumulative tally for each one of these. It might be a good idea to suggest to the building inspector that when he sends these violations out, he actually puts that tally on the violation so that there's a running total that's going to the property owner. Also it protects the village from anyone saying, well, we didn't realize it was so much. So maybe not every violation, but periodically, now the village, $3,000 is going to be levied against your property, and it's going to be getting high.
Good idea, thank you.
We have bills and claims before you from last year, 16-17, of $14,930.78. And we have bills and claims for this fiscal year, 2018, of $56,432.13. I have a motion to pay bills.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by trustee Howard, seconded by trustee Murphy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
That might be a good idea.
Motion carried. Okay, a couple of things. Next on the agenda, it's not on the agenda, I'm putting it on the agenda, is we had interviews with
We have self-service.
Yeah, if you say hello. So we had engineering interviews, and so I'll make a motion that the village go with Magui, Hauser, and Etzel out of all the ones that we interviewed. They seemed very good.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Murphy. May I have roll call?
Trustee Alward,
Aye.
trustee Livesey,
Abstain.
trustee Ramus,
Abstain.
trustee Murphy,
Aye.
Mayor D'Onofrio.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, a couple of things. Beautification we did. Okay, the Restore New York grant. The Restore New York grant is that grant that the village received for $500,000 to take paint off of certain buildings on Main Street that are brick, to restore it back to brick. And so the village clerk and myself sat for quite a while. Today's Monday. Last week, I don't know if it was Thursday or Friday, but one of the days last week, and we spoke to the project manager for the state, and he concurred with us that everything is on schedule. There's nothing at this point owed to him, them, the state, for this grant, and he will keep apprised with us, and we'll keep in contact with him. So that particular grant, and no other grant actually, but this particular grant that I'm speaking about is not in any jeopardy. We're moving forward, and again, everything is fine with that grant. The water tanks, you'll see some work up there soon, taking some of the algae off the outside of the tanks on Mountain Avenue. We put in for a COPS application. A couple weeks ago, I was in the company of our Congressman Sean Patrick Maloney and brought it up to him. And he was very receptive, of course, so I look forward to that. Geese droppings, Charlie, I had gotten your email, and I was at a place that the last thing I thought I'd hear would be about geese droppings, but I was.
Yeah.
And it was the same information that you had about these lights. If you put lights over there, it interferes with them and their eating habits
And sleeping.
and sleeping.
They can't sleep.
So they end up moving. So where it's nicer, where it's quieter, where there's no lights, so we're looking into that.
They're winning still, you know that.
They're winning?
Yeah, they're still winning. Just to let you know.
And these lights do not disturb humans. That's the other thing.
So, it's been proven in places. That's all I can say to you. I might have more, but not for tonight. I'm going to pass on it, and I am going to just end with this. We hear a lot of negative. Lots of negative. A lot of negative. And I don't buy it. I'm not buying it, just so everyone knows. So let's talk about the good, instead of the negative all the time. Let's talk about the good. And a lot of this, if not all of this, some of you know. So here's an email that was sent to me by Dr. Sheboy. And I'm sure a lot of you know this. I'm assuming it was in the News of the Highlands. The College Board released 2016 school-wide SAT data. The Highland Falls Fort Montgomery School District had the highest SAT scores, as well as the highest in math and the highest in reading in Orange County. Now think about that. Yeah, thank you. Think about that. Think about that. That's amazing. That's great. It's not a negative, I'm sorry. This coupled with our designation as a challenging high school and as a reward school, evidence of the outstanding education programs in the district. So I'm going to do this every meeting. So if you want to hear something good, come. If you want to hear anything else, that's up to somebody else. So here's some events, and you start naming people, you start naming events, you start naming things that there's more than one, you end up leaving something out. So I'm sure I left something out. This is since June. Little village of Holland Falls, 1 mile long, and it's 1 mile wide. Little village of Holland Falls. Little village of Holland Falls. This is all the time. I just went from June. It's not negative. The library had a Friends of the Library Gala. Anybody here go? Answer to Cancer bike ride. Anybody see that going on? Good stuff, right? Rolling Thunder. I was there. Good stuff. The last two are economic development issues. People get off their motorcycles, people get done running a race, and what do? They go and buy something. Maybe it's water, maybe it's whatever it is, a banana, or whatever. The farmer's market opened. I went to the Juneteenth. Other people in this room probably did. That was a 3-day event in the middle of June. We had reunion groups here from reunion group from 40 years ago, and 50 years ago. They came home. But I can relate economic development to all these. The library summer reading program is underway. The United States military band concerts on most Saturdays. You'd have to pay dearly to hear music like that. Dearly to hear music. And plus you'd have to go 50 miles away in your car. We have the luxury of walking through the gate, along the main road, looking at the river, on our way up to Trophy Point. Nobody has that. Nobody has that. The Art Walk. They had a reception a couple doors from here on one evening last week. It was great. It was nice. I see people in this room that were there. Then on Saturday, a couple days ago, over here, you had your opening day. It's culture. It's for us. It's for tourists. It's for the people that go to West Point. I see them all day long where I'm at, crossing the street, looking at the art. We all have our favorite. I'm lucky enough to be close to my favorite. I look at it all day long.
The bird.
4th of July? It was the best 4th of July in 49 years. And I've been doing it for 28 years, and I have never said that. I have never said it was the best. It was the best.
I agree.
It was the best. I don't know how we're going to top it, but we're going to top it because next year's the 50th. People do things on the 50th, on the 25th. We're going to get a lot of people involved. We want the Rotary involved. We want the Beautification Committee involved. We want a lot of people involved so we can make it this big event. The Holland Falls Fire Department had their carnival this past weekend. Summer recreation programs. 100 plus kids at Grove Park on the weekdays. You had Siobhan Fallon with her book that she wrote over at the library. You're going to have one soon by George Dapper. That should be very interesting. Very, very interesting. So my list stops. But there's more. And we need to build the community up. That's what builds the community up, a list like that. It doesn't tear it down. It doesn't mean everything's great. It doesn't mean there aren't issues. Of course there are. I'd like to think that the village board is addressing them, especially if some of them, you give us a chance. No community has this. Google any community you want. Google Goshen, New York. Google West Point, Mississippi. Google anybody you want, and you won't find this. So I thank the community for this. I thank the community for this. I went to some of this. I was part of putting one of these on, but there's so many things here. There's something for everyone. Whether you're a child or you're an adult, whether you're a senior citizen, it doesn't matter. And by the way, everything on here was free. That's not something I thought about until just now. Everything on here is free. Okay, enough from me. I'll do board comment after public comment. Public comment. Yes.
Is it okay if I stand here just because?
Bring it over. That way everybody can see it.
I'm maybe just gonna stay. Okay, Laura Milson, 105 Center Street. First of all, I'd like to thank either the police department or the board for getting the pedestrian signs out in the streets. They're great. I haven't seen any of them run over yet, but
People stop.
I know.
You go near that line,
I know.
sometimes you're not even crossing the
So,
street.
the only thing is one comment was that it's hard for big trucks to get through. And I have seen communities put them to the side at the, beginning of the crosswalk, but we really don't have enough space between our parking and our crosswalks to, I think, make it visible enough, so. But anyway, thank you very much for it, because it makes it a lot safer, for everybody to walk. The other thing is, at the farmer's market, we get asked a lot about public toilets. I know we usually send them to the Catholic Church if the church is open, but we don't have any place for anyone to go while they're here, visiting and so it's hard for them to go into establishments, restaurants if they're not eating there, or, there's a lot of signs that say restrooms for, customers only, so I have no idea how much it costs, I don't know what the procedure would be, but a lot of communities do have a site for public restrooms that just makes it easier for people to come that are hanging out, maybe on the art walk or whatever, so it's just a consideration. I don't know if I brought this up before, but I was wondering if we can get a code change in terms of the pump stations that you had brought up. I don't know exactly what that involves, but I feel like if people are walking their dogs and they don't have garbage bags on them, then they're not picking up after their dogs, right? Bear, stay there, sweetie, okay, good boy. So,
This is his issue.
so he's got his bag attached to him, but he went before he came, just so everybody knows. But I feel like, all right, come on. I feel like if people are walking around and they don't have bags on them, they're clearly not going to clean up after their dogs if their dogs go to the bathroom. So I wondered if we could have some sort of a no bag, we tag, or we issue you a warning that you need to be walking around with bags when you're walking your dogs.
The police have been vigilant on this very subject, and there have been violations handed out. So
Okay, great.
there's some
Great.
positive movement on that.
Okay, great, thank you. And then two other issues, just, I don't know if this is being dealt with, but the bodega on Mountain is still completely covered, like 99% of the windows are completely covered with posters and signage and everything, so you cannot see in there at all.
See, that's a town building department. There's a bar on Snyder Avenue, same thing.
Okay, so report that to the town then?
Yeah, that's a town building. I mean, we can too. You would think he'd see that every day he comes to work, but
Okay,
I don't
I'll
know.
report
I don't
it, and
know.
then I guess it goes on record.
Excuse
And
me,
la-
I reported them, both of them, so you reporting them as well
Yes,
will
yeah.
be very beneficial.
okay,
There's
I'll
a
do that.
form, there's a form you can fill out.
Okay, great, thank you. And then the last thing is, when we're out walking at night, there's a lot of cars that drive by, their windows are completely black. And so that to me is a hazard for, not only for the people, for everybody, because you don't know who's in there, you can't identify them, they could be armed. I know there's a stick that you can use to measure those black windows. I don't know if our department has that, but if we don't have it, it's a color stick. It's very cheap, you can get it online.
We have.
We have them, okay, that's just something I've noticed, and that's it, thank you.
I don't care, whoever wants to go. Go ahead.
I thank you for bringing up, Mayor, what you brought up about, well, basically civility. And we need a little more of it here. We have to also remember that it's the government of, for, and by the people. And I would appreciate it if we're allowed to disagree, we're allowed to protest peacefully, and if we all should be above the fact of shaming people or ignoring them or shunning them and not talking to them because you don't agree. We have that right. It's part of nature. And things have become very ugly in this village. People are afraid to call the police because they're not being responded to correctly. The county has, people in the county have been saying this village is becoming a laughing stock. We gotta stop it. We're grown-ups. We have a government that has a list of things. Ethics are a big point today. Let's just treat each other civilly. Let's get on with the point of just what the mayor said, the good things that are going on here. But some of that is your duty too, not just ours. We're trying. If we vote differently than you, it doesn't make us bad people. It means we have the right to do that. And I'd like to see the good things continue.
Ms. Zara, I just want to address, I think, one thing, maybe two when I get talking. So, I want to say to the public that no one in this village, no one driving through that lives somewhere else drives through this village. No one that's visiting this village, but in particular those that live here, as the first group I mentioned, needs to be afraid to call the Highland Falls Police Department. That was put out there. That was put out there, and it was opinion, more than an opinion. Actually, I have to say it's fact. That was put out there, and they did good. It was part of the overall. Let's take the police department apart, and it happened. It happened. The Highland Falls Police Department was decimated. And this board, all five, with the help of the public, are putting it back together again. We're putting it back together again, and you're going to have one of the best police departments in Orange County.
And maybe they
Soon.
can do it without using four-letter words. So that would be also nice.
Well, if
And
somebody,
that's
that's
personal.
what, and,
I heard it, I was
okay,
standing.
and that's why, and that is, and that's wrong if that happened. And that's why there's police, and that's why there's complaint forms. Those complaint forms are filled out, and they are investigated, and they are. And I'm just telling you, I don't want anyone, I want to say this to the public, don't be afraid to call the Highland Falls Police Department. That was put out there. I remember Chief Quinn said that. I remember another politician that's not at this table any longer said, don't call the Highland Falls Police Department unless you have a traffic issue. If you're anything over and above a traffic issue, you call Fort Montgomery. Now that's on tape, so I don't care if I say it. I know I don't make things up here. I don't have that luxury. What I say is the truth.
Well, I just
Okay,
want
so-
to see all around
Yes,
more.
I agree.
I mean, I can disagree with you. I disagree with another one of the trustees up there on a regular basis, and that doesn't mean we aren't civil to each other.
Okay.
I mean, I want.
I'm glad to hear you say this.
I want to see, I don't want people to be afraid. If I don't vote the way you vote, or you don't like the way I vote, that doesn't mean you don't speak to me in the street or say hi. I've lived here 16 years. I have interesting little gizmos in my garden. Nothing has ever been touched. But now, with some recent break-ins or robberies, on the Borough Park had some questionable people. I would like to see those things mentioned in addition to the bear sightings. Let us know if there's something going on. I know not everybody has a computer, but those of us who.
Mrs. Howard, Mrs. Howard, we have a different, I don't want to say philosophy, I want to say different way of doing business in that since I've been back here and working with this board, we are letting the News of the Highlands, we want the News of the Highlands to print the good, like the police officer downstairs got a used bike, she made it look like new and she gave it to a little girl.
Right.
I know that, I knew you would say that, but we also want, that's okay, and we also want the residents to know when there's an issue going on, for many reasons. We want them to be aware, we want their help. We want their help, and you know, and so for all those reasons, we've gotten a lot better with notifying the public. We're not hiding anything.
One of the best things about this village, you can walk down the street, you might not know the person's name, but you've seen them a dozen times. You can say hi, you can talk about the weather, and you can just kind of feel comfortable. It's that kind of a place. Let's make it like that again, and let's keep it.
I'm very glad to hear you say all of what you said, because it piggybacks off of what I had said, and it piggybacks off of what Laura Milsom said, and so this is good. There's a lot of room for disagreement,
Yeah,
but it can be civil disagreement.
right.
Yes.
Okay, Kathy Geyer, Island Falls. There are a lot of things said out there, a lot of things repeated, so I am addressing this to you, Mr. D'Onofrio. I do not hate you. Okay? I
Thank
do
you.
not hate you.
Thank you.
That is not in my heart.
Thank you.
Okay? As long as you are up there doing the job we are expecting you to do above board and with transparency, I am behind you.
Thank you.
Period, the end.
Thank you.
As far as Answer to Cancer is concerned, thing that didn't get mentioned here, over $900,000,
Yeah.
okay? But I'm also looking around this room and I'm telling you people, some of you, next year, you need to step up, okay? We had volunteers, but not enough. Let's be honest, this affects everybody. This is a great thing for our community. Ask business owners how many of them made money off of this event. That's the things we need in this village.
Thank you.
I also agree with Martha. We need to respect each other regardless of what our politics are. And if people want to demonstrate peacefully, it should not be a problem. And I don't expect to be ignored by anybody when I'm walking down the street, because I don't ignore anybody. I smile and say hello to everybody.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much. Yes.
Hello, I'm Barbara Minetti, speaking on behalf of the Economic Development Corporation, the Business and Community Development Committee, about just some ideas and points of information that came to my mind as the meeting was going on. First of all, to the Beautification Committee, and the board hopefully too, the EDC has taken great interest in the area of Highlands Brook by Lot 1 as it wraps around. And there are just so many wonderful grants available for us to consider for that. Whether we can do it this year by the July 28th deadline or not, it's something to get together and really look at and plan. Now, one thing I have learned just in terms of investigating the possibilities myself is that to touch the brook, well, there or anywhere, well, especially there, you have to deal with the DOT, the DEC, and Parks and Recreation. And last fall, we were told, don't even cut anything, any vegetation really, for they just want to evaluate it. So hopefully that will be part of the FEMA consideration and any of those considerations moving forward. Another idea the EDC had come up with recently, we can't do ourselves because we have zero money, is, I don't know the official name of it, but if you go to villages in Europe, the barriers over bridges are just planter box, flush to planter box across the barriers. And we've come up with the idea of doing that across the brook at the post office and then where you're driving into parking lot 1. It's just gorgeous, and I'd be happy to send pictures, an example of pictures of that, what that looks like in terms of beautification. Let's see, that takes care of that. Okay, in terms of solar, I'd like to bring up that the village board did pass earlier this year a resolution regarding solar energy. And if I recall correctly, it did take into consideration one of your concerns, Trustee Ramos, and I remember the night the resolution was passed, our attorney addressed that also. And that was the first step along the way in this NYSERDA program, Clean Energies Communities. So anyway, this United Solar permit is more laying out the permit policy and that sort of thing. Now, July 28th is the deadline to get this free money, basically. So if there's anything I can do to help facilitate that, for example, Bill Edsel had sent me the copy of the one that the town did, or sure.
Are you talking about the 2,500?
Yes,
But
yes, July.
we're meeting with the gentleman from the state Wednesday at 1:30.
Oh, we are?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that, okay. Great.
And he's
Okay.
going to do what it said in the email. It takes about an hour, and
Right.
he's going to do it for us.
And he said 30 minutes if he can use the
I'm
one
sure
that
for
the
him.
town did, and,
Yeah.
you know, just, okay, great. Okay, then about the Solarize event tomorrow night, the vendors are going to be there. Orange County Planning and Solarize Hudson, the group that is putting on this solar campaign, vetted vendors. And so the vendors are actually going to be there if anyone is interested in solar and you're tired of getting those cold calls. You can actually talk to vendors tomorrow night. Then, well, okay, that's it. Thank you.
I just have a question, can I ask her a question? What about the grant that you were working on before you went away on vacation? DRI.
The Downtown
DRI,
Revitalization Initiative. It's a $10 million grant, a wonderful grant which was submitted, I did the writing as a volunteer, and it was submitted in the name of the village. This wonderful opportunity for the second year in a row allows the village an opportunity to blueprint. And our application goes in front of probably 60 to 80 of the most important people in state government. They all read it. They all learn what our challenges are, what our potential is, what we need, what our possibilities are. And we did very, very well this year. I don't think we got it. I think we would have known by now. But what this does, and I'm hoping the village can apply for another Empire State Development Corporation grant by the 28th, because applying for the DRI gives us elevated status and consideration to be approved for other grants. And that's how we got the $500,000 Restore New York grant. We applied for the DRI, it got us on the map, it got us in close communication with the Empire State Development Corporation, They were actually in communication with us, said, hey, we've got this grant, you might qualify for it, apply for it, and we got it. So it literally, applying for the grant is a good thing, even if we don't get the $10 million, because it gives us extra credit, so to speak, in getting other grants, which are significant.
Barbara, we don't know that we didn't get it yet, but, and if we did not get it, it's not worth money, money in the bank, but there were around 140 applicants throughout the state, the Hudson Valley especially. And we were one of the 10 finalists. And that says a lot. Not only that we were one of the 10, but it says something to the folks that were in the room. We went for an interview. There had to be, 40 people there at least.
More than that.
I thought I was walking into a meeting that had 3 or 4 people and they were gonna interview us, and there was a lot. And we did very well at the interview, and so we're waiting to hear. But the point is if we didn't get it, we are gonna get one. We are gonna get one. That I know.
We are.
Yeah, that I know.
And they told us that when we left. They said, you keep working with us. We don't know how it's gonna turn out today, but you keep working with us. So it's really exciting to advocate for our wonderful village in this way. And just another good thing, we are a town, a really community of really talented, capable, and willing people. There is a lot of good going on.
Thank you. Go ahead.
And for the record,
No.
that grant application is a killer.
It is.
And Barbara pulled a couple all-nighters before she
Right.
went on vacation, so bravo.
Yes.
Thank you, Barbara. So we continue with positive comments. Anyone else? Yeah.
Yeah, something I forgot in all the talk.
I'm not supposed to let you up twice, but
Oh, sorry, about
who
solar.
you are, who you know.
I guess, about solar, when it comes to residential, I don't know what the representatives from the company say, but people have to be aware that if their roofs are not in perfect shape, they probably should wait and not put something up, because from what I understand, depending on the company and what the contract is, if you have a roof problem after you've put it up, that it's your responsibility to take the stuff down and put it back. My neighbor just had it done within the past year. She put a new roof on first, which was like $10,000, $7,000. So just so that people don't jump into something. One thing, Orange County is sponsoring this program, and they are not pushing to sell things. And there are free assessments, and they are not going to push anybody to get anything that is not good for them.
Mr. Al? Mr. Al? Mr. Murphy?
Are we only done with public comment?
Yes?
Yes. Pat Flynn, just a couple things. One, I put a letter to the editor, and there's a project as far as the LED lighting. I understand that you're looking at O&R. I took the O&R project and looked at the NIPA project. The NIPA project just seems a lot better. I did ask in the letter that the board take a re-look at it. I understand ownership may be a little scary to some people, but that's what's getting us the most savings. Also, O&R is doing it in steps instead of one shot. And there was misinformation put out at the meeting several times where the cost was $70,000. The cost is not $70,000. The cost is about $230,000. And NIPA will pay the entire bill. What they do, they are a nonprofit, they will pay the whole bill, we'll get it done in one shot, and immediately start saving. That's where the $70,000 comes in. $70,000 to $75,000 a year. So the sooner we get it done, the sooner we start saving. Within 3 years, we're actually making money. Our bills are between $80,000 and $95,000 a year for the lighting. We could save that much money, but every year that we put it off is another $70,000 to $75,000 we're not saving. So I would ask, go look at the two projects. Bob Mellon has a ton of information, and he made the presentations to the board and the community, and he has all the information. I would ask that you talk to him and move forward on this project because, again, this is permanent savings. This is a one-time thing. Permanent savings of $75,000+ a year. There was also a comment made tonight at the meeting and also one or two other meetings about the decimation of our police force. And I'm amazed that some people don't respond. So I will respond. There was no decimation of the police force. People can have their opinions because one or two people aren't working. Just so the public knows, every shift was full. Every shift was covered. There were no problems. There were no outbreaks of crime like there seem to be happening in the last couple months. There were no issues, with the exception of, yes, previous board was looking at consolidation. So we weren't looking to hire continuously full-time people. Our interim police chief commented, as well as two other police chiefs, that this community, the small community that we are, does not need a full-time force, and definitely not the size that we had. We hired a couple, and we were begging for part-time applications for 2.5 years. So it's important that people know that there was no decimation, there was no plan. Some people got, 3 of our full-timers, one went to the state, one got a full-time job that almost doubled his salary, and one was only looking to be here until he got full-time and move on to the sheriff's. And that's what happened. That's what a lot of the part-time people do. New people, when they come here, or full-time people, excuse me, they get a full-time job here, and as soon as they're able to, they move on to a higher paying job, or with the state or someone. It happens all the time. So there was no decimation of the police force. And that, to me, is a slap in the face of the work that the previous board did to, again, try and save permanent money for the taxpayer. And that is with the consolidation, which I am still moving forward on. I am working with the state. We will do petitions through the community for the consolidation, because I still believe that it is a huge savings for us, as well as a potentially better force. And this is not saying that our force is bad. Our force can move over. But having a larger number of people with one task, and everyone says everyone's all friendly and we all hug and there's no problems, if you're behind the curtain, you know that's not true. There are problems between the town and the village all the time. It was brought up tonight that a comment that, you mentioned the previous chief, that he made this comment that don't call the village. That's what we're talking about. That's not a positive move between village and town. You don't make those statements in public. You don't make those statements between each other. We need to be one community, and one community moving forward together. Thank you. That's all.
Okay, since the comment was, some of that, little bit of it, whatever part of it was made towards me, I stand by my words. The police department was dismantled. Believe me. And if anyone wants to know why I say that, you can come to me anytime you want, and I will show you. Not out of my mouth, I will show you. I will show you. The other night we had a meeting in here, this board, with the consultant that's doing the one study. And yes, right up on that wall, right there were different options, alternatives. And yes, we can save money. One of the options was, yes, we can save money. You'll be mostly protected by part-time police officers, maybe a couple full-timers, maybe. And I'm just not sure that's what we want. And that's what the board's talking about. In fact,
That was for consolidation, John?
that's what the board is talking about, okay, about the police department. What kind of department does the public want? Not what does Joe D'Onofrio want. I'm coming to the end. I'm coming to the end of my time. But this little girl sitting over here, a couple younger people in the back, a couple of your children. What kind of police department do we want for them? Okay, that's what we're trying to figure out. It's a big decision. I am not sure that the people want less. I don't know that they want less. I know they didn't want less with the dispatchers, that's why we have a midnight dispatcher back. So you know, this is a subject to talk about, and I look forward to talking about it on the street, in the meeting, maybe asking a few of you to come in and we talk in the conference room. I would love it. And in fact, because of the positive comments, most of them were positive. 95% of them were positive tonight. I'm actually going to reach out to some of you and ask you to come on in. Let's talk. Let's talk. I would disagree, but let's talk. Let me tell you what some long-term plans are. I think you'll be surprised. I think maybe even happily. You know, we're working on a lot of issues. So I hope soon I can reach out to some of you to come on in and we talk.
We're also
Good.
working on steering committees. We want people from the town to meet with people from the village and lay out the master plan of what it looks like. What would it look like for consolidation? You can't do anything unless you get a master plan.
We have to
It's gotta be
give,
worked out.
yeah, we have to give the, what Brian's saying too, is we have to give the contractor who was hired some direction. He came with 3 alternatives. He probably has 3 more different ones. So, you know, we have to give him direction. Otherwise, it's a waste of everyone's time. There were a lot of issues that probably need to be corrected with what we saw the other night. And that's not a negative on the young man that did it. It's just that I'm not sure how much direction he had. But we're going to give him direction. And it might be a couple different directions. And he has to go out there and get information on both roads that we're going to send him down and see what the best scenario is for the people. So, you know, that's where that's at. I want to continue with the board's comments. Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to echo on Joe a little bit with the police. You know, social media is something I'm tending to stay away from anymore because I'm hearing about the drugs and the violence and what's going on in Howard Falls. And I'm sure there is some going on, but with the police department, they're out there. I'm on the ambulance corps too. And I gotta tell you something, the police are definitely out there. They're watching a lot more than you think. They're looking at a lot more than you think. And there's a lot more that's going to be happening with the police department and arrests and everything else. Right now, we know in this community there's some robberies going on. I would say that the police are on this right now. Okay? But we all have to remember something, and that word has been brought up in its opinions. And if we don't respect each other's opinion, we're just going to consistently be fighting here, okay? Somebody came up to me the other day and they said that one of their friends just got back from Afghanistan. And it sort of hurt me a little bit because they said, we shouldn't even be over there anyway. So there's a reason for everything, and for that person to say, well, we shouldn't be over there anyway, that's his opinion. I didn't come back with anything on that. But my reasons are something else, okay? And the same is here with the police department. I know there's a lot of people that think that maybe possibly that the police are doing nothing in this community, and that's your opinion. Where my opinion is much different than that. My opinion on consolidation, if you know me, I've never been a fan on consolidation. I've always said that I want to have one strong police department here in the village. And that's what I ran on, and that's what I want. But I think the biggest thing is, and also, I did a class at the center for the kids over there, and it was about emotions. And I would say a word, and the kids would write either a picture or write down the first thing that came to their mind. It was happy, sad, love, all different kind of words. And you wouldn't believe in the pictures and what they would write down, what came to their mind. I don't know what adults would do with the word opinion. Because we have to be able to say to ourselves, I could accept that. I accept your opinion. We have to be able to say to ourselves, I understand your point. Okay, so let's work together on this thing. This fighting and everything else that's been going on is so out of control anymore. It's not anything but us ruining this village. That's what's happening. It's gotta stop. People have to meet. I ran to represent everybody in this community, and I gotta tell you, I've taken some hits on that. I've taken some hits, and I'm not gonna stop trying to represent, but that's what I'm taking, some hits on that. It's my opinion that I'm gonna keep on going, okay? I'm gonna keep representing everybody. But again, with the police department, believe me that they're out there and watching what's going on. Every one of these kids walking up and down on Main Street, I'm sure some of them are up to no good, but it's not all of them, believe me.
Thank you, Lou. Charlie?
Just briefly on the building department, in June, the building department did 118 permit inspections and a total of 127 other types of inspections, with 45 advisory violation notices issued. So to the point earlier, they are going around trying to clean up the issues, but they do have to follow a certain order, and it is time consuming. One really bright note, it was at the Art Walk reception that was held at one of the restaurants. Assemblyman Skoufis was in attendance, and we had an informal conversation, but during that talk, he expressed interest in trying to help the village find money to upgrade specifically the pool area in Rowe Park. So if there is some inclination by this board, I would love to see us pursue that, because the area needs some help.
But yeah, it needs help, and we're gonna pay for it, so we do. But get with Kevin, and when they empty the pool this year, when they do, he'll be able to give you a better look at the bottom to see what needs to be done of the pool itself.
Well, I got the impression that the assemblyman would like to give us, or find some real significant money to upgrade it.
Good. Jimmy? Jimmy?
All right, I'm feeling a lot of love in the room tonight. I wrote this, and this is my attempt to not kindle the fires of division in our community, but bring a positive light on a situation that seems to have evolved into something that the village doesn't deserve. There's been some letters to the editor concerning an incident which I was involved in. Well, the facts aren't there. I'll give you just a couple of them, and the reason why I chose not to press charges. On that day, it was stated that one of myself was taking some photographs outside at a gathering in front of Village Hall. Mine was the only camera that was taken, but, you know, that is what it is. I don't think that's the America that we all strive to live in. I don't think that's the America that we want our kids to live in. I ran on becoming the trustee in this village to build bridges. I want to bring unity to the community. Our village deserves no less. So when I was asked about pressing charges, I told the state police officer no. I said, I don't believe that family deserves any court arguments, nor the residents or my family or that family be paraded in the gossip columns anymore. That's me. Another fact is that, you know, I've been attacked for my religion on various social media outlets. But that's a right that we're all granted by the First Amendment. That's in the Bill of Rights. Everybody has their opinion, and that's fine. But those attacks aren't going to shake my convictions of being a good Christian. They're only going to reinforce my moral compass into doing good deeds. So in closing, I'm gonna present the proverbial olive branch and look to build bridges for the community, so we can all live and work here together. I believe everybody deserves a second chance. I pray that civility, a word that I've heard here tonight, will prevail as we continue on a journey in life, this small community. And maybe we can start a movement that's gonna blossom for the good of everybody here. So that's all I really got to say about what transpired that night. And I hope you can go to bed now. Thank you.
It's definitely behind us. Mary Jane, can I, before we go into executive session, can I ask you something? Did you have in your paper the vandalism of the buses that was solved?
Yes.
That was in the paper?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Did you have in the paper the, loosely I'll say, gentleman that was picked up on Walnut that was part of the carnival?
Yes.
Thank you. Did you have in the paper a drug arrest on July, I don't know if you're going, July 10th on State Road 9W?
Yes.
Did you have in the paper July 10th another incident around 7, Schneider and McCollum's drug activity? 3 individuals were found in possession and were taken into custody?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So, we're not hiding, no one said this, I'm just letting everyone know, we're not hiding anything. But at the same time, and it goes back to what I think almost everyone said here, or everyone did say, the police department is working very hard because they want to, because we're building the department back up again, we have new hires, and we're all pretty much in sync. From June 22 to July 10. What is that? 3 weeks? 3 weeks. No names. It doesn't matter the names. 33-year-old man charged while driving intoxicated. Another guy, 23, from Spring Valley, unnecessary noise and aggravated unlicensed operator, 3rd degree. Another guy, Valley Cottage, was charged aggravated unlicensed operation. Another person was charged criminal possession of controlled substance in the 4th degree, criminal possession of controlled substance in the 7th degree, and it goes on and on. Another person, 38 years old, of Holland Falls, was charged with disorderly conduct. June 28th, another person from Holland Falls charged with unlawful possession of marijuana. Another person of Holland Falls arrested on a bench warrant out of to the town of Highlands Court. July 1, another gentleman, Holland Falls, was charged with criminal mischief, 4th degree. Another gentleman, 33, unlawful possession of marijuana. 16-year-old male was charged criminal mischief, 4th degree. 27-year-old man charged disorderly conduct, unlawful possession of marijuana. A lady charged with criminal contempt in the 2nd degree. And this list goes on and on and on and on. Now, that has to mean something to the residents of the village of Highland Falls. Okay, there's more. There's more. But I know everyone's sitting out there saying, when's he going to stop? I'm going to stop. But I'm not going to stop if we continue to say, there are a bunch of bums next door. They're not a bunch of bums next door. Pick up what Merv said, the social media has to stop. To be honest with you, you may believe this or not, I don't read the news of the Highlands. I haven't read it in more than 5 years. It's the truth. And I don't go on this social stuff. I don't even know how to get on social stuff. I don't even know what you call it, social stuff. So anybody in this room or anyone out of this room that's putting Joe D'Onofrio's a bum, I don't even know that you're putting it up there. So, and I don't really even care. You know, there used to be a day when I was young when I cared. I don't care no more. I know what I'm doing. I know what this board is doing. I know what the police department is doing. I can do it in my sleep. The highway department, the water department, the sewer department. I'll go to hell and back for every one of them. Remember that, I will. If there's justification for someone to put a complaint in and it's checked out, believe me, they will be taken care of. Kenny, you know that. We've had this discussion. Believe me, they'll wish they didn't do it. to the fullest extent of what we can do with an attorney, we will do it to a village employee. But until that day, I'll go anywhere with these guys. Could I have a motion to go into executive session?
It's about the water.
It's over. May I have a motion to go into executive session?
Something.
Is there a second? I need a second.
I'll second it.
Second by Jimmy Ramus, all in favor? Opposed, motion carried. Thank you so much. Thank you for the good meeting.
Just sent out a text, so let's look on the right this time.
Pardon?